Good afternoon Path Chat covering futures contracts, indices, and metals. This is Bob Iacino along with Mike Arnold on looks like the fourth day in a row of a lower close in the Dow. All of this is essentially based on some lightening of positions prior to the non-farm payrolls, which is either going to confirm or deny a Fed rate hike. Actually, at this point, there's probably no chance of there not being a March rate hike. But if you look at the June contracts on the CME Fed Watch tool, that probability of rates going from 50 to 75, which remember, they're not there right now. They're 25 to 50 right now. 50 to 75 up to 75 to 100, that probability is now close to 50%. That's been creeping up. That's the June meeting. Probability of the March rate hike taking levels from 25 to 50 up to 50 to 75 is right around 90% at this point. So Mike is going to give you what he is seeing in the Dow transports, the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell. Then we're going to look at crude, copper, gold, and silver. Crude oil again continued down today after yesterday's blowout inventory numbers. Even the gasoline draw, which was 6.6 million, which was huge. That basically amounts to 14.5 million barrels of crude because it's about 2.2 barrels of crude to make 1 barrel of gasoline. Even that size of a draw, given the inventory levels, was not enough to offset the massive blowout crude inventory number of 8.2 million barrels added to the already record stockpiles. We're seeing bump up in volume in crude oil. Crude oil volume is spiking. Yesterday was the first day over 900,000 contracts since January 3rd. Oddly enough, January 3rd had over 900,000 contracts. That was a down move as well, and that was the first official day of the OPEC cuts. So we're starting to see that some of these longer dated longs that maybe got in at the end of last year might be starting to weaken because we're seeing another high volume day today. I'm going to turn it over to Mike to show you what he's seeing on the charts.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. The chart of the Dow up, it's sold off today to one of our critical support zones between 2,761 and 2,788. If we do break below 2,761, watch for a retest of the 21, which is essentially 20,700. And below that, we have a rising trend line, and a GAN level essentially comes in at 20,600. If we rally, there'll be resistance at this trend line. You see how it's sort of held this nice move down. If you get through that, watch for a retest of about the 20,950 to the 20,982 mark, which would put it right in here. I'm going to cover the transports. We have not touched on those recently. They've been selling off also. So there was a close below this defining point yesterday, and now it's continued its move down. The full target for that move would be 9,117 would be the full target. Not saying it has to get there immediately, but that is the full target end of a clear path move. If we do continue lower in the transports, really watch if we break below the 9,022 level, which is going to be right in here, then that could signal that there's major shift taking place in the markets. Let's look over at the S&P. Again, this is before the close. We're recording this, so these are not the final ways that everything closed for the day. We do not know what that will be yet. S&P also testing a critical GAN level zone at 2354 to 2350 and the rising 21 right in there. So this is pretty major support. If we do break below that today, tomorrow, watch for 2333 and then 2316. If these levels hold, I'm watching for a retracement move to 2366, which will then get it back above the 8. And then if we have a substantial rally, I'm looking for 2383. Nasdaq is holding up, one of the best of them all. This 5331 level is very critical, this 12.5% GAN level. If we do get a close below that, I'm expecting 5309, which would take us to the target of the broken wedge and the rising 21. And if we were to get through that, I'm not seeing much. There'll be some support at the 5300 level, and then below that, we're looking at 5264. On a rally, just watch for a retest of these highs around 5,400. Finally, Russell 2000 sold off again today. The low has essentially gone to the next scan level, 1354. If we continue lower, we're watching for 1345. On the next rally up, you can see even today's high retrace the prior GAN level. That's why we like these levels so much. 1372 before selling off lower. So watch for a retest of 1372, followed by we have a cluster around 1379 to 1383 right in there. We have the first cross rotation zone and a GAN cluster. Let me switch over to crude oil. We've had some big moves that Bob talked about. I pointed out yesterday our GAN extension was around 48.83, where we had the 200-day moving average, simple moving average, and this rising trend line. Watch for a target of that, which we hit and now is retraced a bit. This is getting overdone quite substantially. Does not mean it can't go lower. It's just a really extended move. If we do extend lower, next major support is 48.33, and then we have a vacuum down to 46.92 to 47. Rally back up, watch for 49.44, then 50.05, and if we continue higher, right around 50.66, significant level and prior GAN area and prior support becoming resistance. Finally, over to metals, where we've had also some big moves. Copper gone down and tested the prior breakout level, which was resistance becoming support, right around $22.55.85. It's bounced off there. If we move back up, GAN cluster right around 258.74. The next higher is 261.45, which would be prior support becoming resistance. And the rotation zone has crossed, but it's still a fair amount above that. Taking a look at gold. Gold also continuing lower. End of the clear path move for this is 1191, and 1194 is a GAN level. So that's the next major areas down. If we do retrace this, watch for a retrace to about 1212, and then the 1218 to 1222 area could be critical resistance if we do rally. Finally, silver, which has broken below our prior breakout zone and continued lower. It's gotten below the 1710 mark. Next major targets, 1680 to 1675. We have a end of a clear path, another GAN level, and a rising trend line. So in a continued lower move, that's what I'll be watching for. If we turn around and rally back up, watch for retest 1710, then prior support becoming resistance around 1725. And if we did get above there, GAN cluster right around 1743. That's all I have for you. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael. This is likely the last path chat for this week. Non-farm payrolls tomorrow. Pay very close attention to that. We wouldn't necessarily put anything new on prior to that number. We would keep existing positions and let them play out, but we wouldn't put anything new on. So it's not really useful to do on tomorrow morning anyway. Some personal stuff going on in my life, so we will be back Sunday, but we will have a new Money Path podcast that will be recorded tomorrow at some point, and we'll put it out this weekend as always. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching.